Okay, so remember when I made that video about small trees for tiny yards? Yeah, you guys destroyed me in the comments. And honestly, you were right. A 60-foot oak tree is not small. I don't know what I was thinking. So today, I'm coming back with my tail between my legs to show you 8 trees that will actually stay small. Like, I triple-checked the mature height small. And if these grow too big, you have full permission to cancel me. Welcome back to D-Plant Studio. Today we're fixing my mistakes. These are 8 trees that max out between 4 and 20 feet tall. That's it. No surprise oak trees. No, technically it's small if you prune it constantly. Just genuinely compact trees that won't outgrow your space. Let's get into it. Tree 1, the dwarf flowering cherry snow fountains. First up, the dwarf flowering cherry snow fountains. This one maxes out at 8 to 15 feet tall, but here's the beautiful part. It's a weeping cherry, so it grows down, not out. Picture this. It's early spring, and this tree explodes with cascading white blossoms that literally look like waterfalls of flowers. It only lasts about 2 weeks, but those 2 weeks are absolutely worth it. This is perfect for narrow side yards. You know that weird space between your house and your fence that's maybe 6 feet wide? This tree was made for that spot. The weeping branches stay contained, and the trunk takes up almost no space. Now here's the care hack nobody tells you. After it blooms, you need to prune out any branches growing straight up. Weeping cherries sometimes throw out these aggressive vertical shoots. And if you don't remove them, they'll ruin that elegant cascading shape. And the design secret, plant spring bulbs underneath. When this tree blooms, you want daffodils or tulips coming up at the same time. The layered flower effect is unmatched. Okay, but maybe you want flowers all summer long. Not just spring. Tree 2, Crape Myrtle Pocomoke. Enter the Crape Myrtle Pocomoke. And I need you to really hear this measurement. 3 to 5 feet tall. That's not a typo. This is essentially a large shrub trained as a tiny tree. The rose-pink blooms start in summer and keep going until fall. While other plants are dying in the heat, this thing is putting on a flower show. Plus the bark exfoliates in winter, giving you this mottled sculptural look even when there are no leaves. This works in spaces so small, you wouldn't even think to put a tree there. Foundation plantings, narrow beds along driveways, even large containers on a patio. Care hack, crepe myrtles bloom on new growth, which means you can prune them hard in late winter and they'll come back fuller. But here's the thing, this dwarf variety doesn't need aggressive pruning like the big ones. Just clean up dead branches and shape it lightly. Design secret, plant 3 in a row for a mini hedge effect. Because it's so small, you can use multiples without overwhelming your space. But if you want something you can actually eat, tree 3, Serviceberry Regent. The Serviceberry Regent, 4 to 6 feet tall, multi-stem, and it produces edible berries. Finally, a small tree that's actually useful. This tree gives you 3 seasons of interest. White flowers in spring, berries in early summer that taste like a cross between blueberries and almonds, and then explosive red-orange fall color. It's like getting 3 different trees in one tiny package. The berries are the secret weapon here. They're small, but they're delicious, and the birds absolutely love them. If you want the berries for yourself, you'll need to net the tree, or just accept that you're sharing. Perfect for that spot where you want something pretty but also productive. Edible landscaping is having a moment. And this tree lets you participate without needing a full orchard. Care hack, service berries can sucker at the base. If you want a clean tree form, you'll need to remove those suckers as they appear. But honestly, the natural multi-stem look is beautiful, so you can just let it do its thing. Design secret, underplant with strawberries. Now you've got berries at 2 heights, and the whole area becomes your personal produce section. Speaking of fragrance though, tree 4, dwarf Korean lilac tree. The dwarf Korean lilac tree, 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. This is a lilac that knows when to stop growing. When this blooms in late spring, the fragrance is incredible. You'll smell it from 20 feet away. The purple flower clusters are dense and full, and because the whole tree is only 4 feet tall, the blooms are right at nose level. This is your entryway tree. Plant it next to your front door, and every time you come home during bloom season, you'll be walking through a cloud of fragrance. It also works beautifully in containers if you've got a patio situation. Here's the care hack, lilacs need cold winters to bloom well. If you're in zones 9 or 10, skip this one, but in zones 3 through 7, this thing is bulletproof. Design secret, plant it where evening light hits it. Backlit lilac blooms at sunset are next level beautiful. Position matters with this one. Now if you want year-round green instead of flowers, Tree 5 Japanese Maple Crimson Queen. Next, the Japanese Maple Crimson Queen. And before you panic, because you've seen massive Japanese maples, hear me out. The specific cultivar stays between 8 and 10 feet tall. That's about the height of a basketball hoop. The weeping form means it spreads wider than it grows tall, but we're talking 10 to 12 feet max. The crimson red foliage is what makes this tree special. It's not just pretty in fall, it's red all season long, and in autumn, it turns this deep burgundy that looks almost black in certain light. Here's where it works best. That corner of your yard where you want a focal point but don't have room for anything massive. Plant it where you can see it from inside your house because you'll want to stare at it constantly. Care-wise, it needs partial shade, especially in hot climates. Full afternoon sun will scorch those delicate leaves. And here's your watering hack. These have shallow roots, so they'd rather be watered frequently with less water than soaked once a week. Design secret, interplant it with low-growing hostas or ferns. The layered look makes your tiny space feel like a professionally designed garden. But if red isn't your color, this next tree might be more your speed. Tree 6. Dwarf Hinoki Cypress, Nana Gracilis. The dwarf Hinoki Cypress Nana Gracilis. This is an evergreen that grows so slowly you'll barely notice it's getting bigger. 6 to 8 feet in 10 years. Yes, 10 years. The deep green foliage is dense and sculptural. It naturally forms this perfect cone shape without any pruning. It's like a living piece of architecture. This works in modern, minimalist yards where you want one statement piece that looks intentional year-round. Japanese-inspired gardens, contemporary landscapes, anywhere you want structure without the hassle. Care hack, these are slow-growing because they're not heavy feeders. Don't over-fertilize thinking you'll speed them up. You'll just burn the roots. Let this tree do its slow, elegant thing. Design secret, surround the base with large black river rocks. The contrast between the dark stone and the green foliage is striking, and it plays into that minimalist aesthetic. But maybe you want evergreen and flowers. Tree 7, Magnolia Little Gem. Magnolia Little Gem, 15 to 20 feet tall, 7 to 10 feet wide. This is technically the biggest tree on the list, but compared to a regular southern magnolia that hits 80 feet, this is tiny. The glossy evergreen leaves are beautiful year-round, but the real show is those massive white flowers. They're fragrant, they're stunning, and they bloom sporadically from spring through summer. This works as a privacy screen in narrow spaces. Because it stays relatively slim, you can plant it in spots where a wider tree would overtake everything. Side yards, property lines, anywhere you need height without width. Care hack, this is zone 7 through 10. If you're further north, this won't survive your winters. But if you're in the right zone, this tree is nearly indestructible once established. Design secret, the underside of the leaves is this beautiful rusty brown color. Plant it where wind can flip the leaves and show that contrast. It adds movement and visual interest. Tree 8, the Dwarf Alberta Spruce. The Dwarf Alberta Spruce, 10 to 13 feet tall, but here's the catch. It takes 25 years to get there. This tree grows 2 to 4 inches per year. That's slower than your fingernails. The perfect cone shape makes this the formal garden tree. No pruning, no shaping, it just naturally forms this tight, symmetrical pyramid. It's evergreen, so you get year-round structure. This is your I want it to look fancy tree. Flank your front door with 2 of these in containers. And suddenly your entrance looks like a boutique hotel. Put one in the center of a small formal garden bed. Use it anywhere you want that classic, manicured look. Care hack, these can get spider mites in hot, dry conditions. Spray the foliage with water occasionally in summer to keep them at bay. That's it. That's the whole care routine. Design secret, interplant with white flowers. The contrast of white blooms against that deep green is timeless and elegant. Petunias, impatiens, anything white will work. Okay, quick check-in. Which of these trees are you actually going to plant? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you're thinking finally, trees that won't destroy my house, hit that subscribe button. Because I'm clearly learning from my mistakes over here. Here's what I learned from making that first video and getting absolutely dragged in the comments. The word small means different things to different people. To a landscape designer, a 30-foot tree is small. To someone with a 10 by 10 yard, anything over 8 feet is massive. So here's my new rule, if you have a genuinely tiny yard, look for dwarf cultivars specifically. Those are trees that have been bred to stay compact. Regular trees that you can keep small with pruning are just going to fight you forever. And always, always check the 10-year mature height, not the 50-year height. Because in 10 years, if that tree is already too big, you'll have to remove it. And that's expensive and heartbreaking. Also, consider your hardiness zone. A tree that stays small in zone 8 might grow massive in zone 5. Climate matters, so there you have it, 8 trees that will actually genuinely, for real stay small. No surprises, no 60-foot oaks masquerading as small trees. I learned my lesson. You taught me well in those comments, and I appreciate the honesty, even if it stung a little. I want to see your tiny yards looking amazing. Don't forget to subscribe for more small space plant content that I've now triple-checked for accuracy. And I'll see you in the next video, where we're talking about low-maintenance perennials that actually live up to the name. Until then, keep growing, keep learning, and maybe double-check your tree heights before you plant.